morning, Manchester, and to those of you in the surrounding towns. Our time is 8:08, our station is AM1250. I am Rich Girard, and you are listening to Girard At Large, in the morning. And I think we can come up with a jingle for that. Listen, our motto here is news from our own backyard, because our mission is to connect local people, places, and things. We do that through Facebook at Girard At Large. We do that through the web at girardatlarge.com. And of course, we do it here on the radio. And I'm very pleased to introduce you to Al Baines. And for those of you who were wondering like I was, yes, he is the brother to former Mayor Baines. He's involved with an outfit in Goffstown called the Crispin's House. And we're here to learn all about that and what he does to help at-risk youths in the town of Goffstown and the surrounding area. Al, welcome to Girard At Large.
Thank you, Rich, and good morning.
So first, as we give all of our guests the opportunity to do, I'd like you to introduce yourself a little bit about who you are, what you do, and why you're involved with this Crispin's House.
Okay, I've been living in Goffstown for 34 years. Been born and brought up in Manchester, down in South Manchester, and we moved out there quite some time ago, as I said. And I started to get involved with the community as soon as I got out there. My boys were, my oldest was 7 and 5 and 2, and we started getting involved in all kinds of things out there: baseball, Cub Scout, Boy Scouts, all of those kinds of things. And over the years, I've progressed into some of the other youth things.
Okay. And now this is a youth-focused organization that you're part of. Why don't let's get right into it and explain to our listeners exactly what Crispin's House is.
Sure. Crispin's House was founded back in 1989 by a group of concerned citizens within the community. Stephen Mornier was one of the original founders.
Former police chief of Goffstown.
Former police chief. Judge Michael Ryan, who is an associate justice in the National District Court right now. Another gentleman named Ed Coburn, and some other members of the community. The original intent of the organization was to actually have a house where kids that were in need or in trouble could be housed temporarily. However, that never came about, and over the years the organization has evolved into other entities. And today we are a umbrella organization for several different groups within our community. We have a group of high school kids called Volunteens. We have between 40 and 60 kids on our registry. They're available to other service organizations and nonprofits in the community to go out and volunteer when they have projects or needs in the community. We facilitate the connection between the two groups. We also do a juvenile diversion program in conjunction with the 9th Circuit Court, Family Court in Goffstown, and the area police departments being Goffstown, Ware, New Boston, and Francistown.
Now, so the service area, now it's still called Crispin's House, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. Now, and the original vision was to create a place, I'm assuming it's sort of like a runaway shelter. They just got to get away from mom and dad, and they need a safe place to kind of stay and get, so that was stay and kind of get themselves together and maybe find whatever help it is they were looking for. So that was the original vision.
That's correct.
And that vision didn't come to pass. Somewhere along the way, the mission of the organization changed a little bit. Instead of providing a temporary shelter and maybe some services to troubled teens, now you're more of a general resource for teenagers.
Well, we try to provide services that are aimed at keeping kids out of trouble, helping them to avoid drug and alcohol problems, giving them activities to do when they have a lull in their lives, and then we also provide services to them when they do get in trouble.
Okay, so let's define this a little bit. It's based out of Goffstown. Is Goffstown is it just teens from the town of Goffstown, or does it include folks from those other towns that you mentioned, New Boston, Ware, and was it Dumbarton?
Not Dumbarton, but no, we do provide services to other area teens, because Goffstown High School is an area high school.
Okay.
And they bring in kids kids from other towns.
So basically, your area is the same area that's associated with Goffstown High?
Yes.
Okay. And now, how does a teen, and you mentioned you had that partnership program with the family court in Goffstown, the District 9 Family Court. How does a teen get to you? Is it something, if I'm a parent and you know, my teens are having some issues, do I pick up the phone and say, hey, we're having these issues, can you help? Do they find you on their own? Is it referrals from the schools or other social services agencies? How do you locate the kids that you serve?
It could be all of the above.
Okay.
Typically, though, we get referrals either from the area police departments or from the court. Now, typically, if a kid gets in trouble with the police for the first time, and it's a non-violent offense and a not too serious offense, then the aim of the area police departments is to send them to diversion without sending them to the court.
So diversion is sort of a term that where someone who's just starting to get into trouble gets sent somewhere with the hopes that it's a one-time occurrence.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, sometimes the police departments do send the kids to court.
Okay.
However, Judge Paul Lawrence is a big fan of diversion, and if he can at all possibly send a kid to diversion, he will.
Okay.
So we do get them from both directions.
So sometimes the police will send them directly there without charging them or sending them to court, and then sometimes the court will say, you know, you need to take advantage of Crispin's house, sort of as a second chance, maybe?
Exactly. They are charged, however. They are always charged.
They are always charged.
They always have a charge against them. When they come to us, they have to admit their guilt. They don't come to us.
You can't help the innocent, right?
That's correct. So they have to tell us that they're guilty of what they did.
Okay.
And once they do that, then we have a committee that sits and hears their story, so to speak, about what they did, how they decided to do what they did, what happened to them after they got caught, and what were their consequences. And then the committee will also delve into other aspects of the lives of these kids to find out really what's going on with them, because oftentimes the trouble that they're in is reflective of other things that are going on in their lives. And there are many family issues involved with these things sometimes as well.
Girard At Large, time is 8:15. We're with Al Baines of the Crispin's House and Goffstown area services provider for at-risk teens.
Not just teens.
Okay, not just teens. So tell us,
Kids in general.
kids in general. So what are the age ranges, Al, that you know that falls within your scope of service?
Well, typically we've had kids in our diversion program as young as 9. However, they age out of that at age 16. Up to 16, we can take them. However, some of our other programs, such as our Dream Catchers program, which is a social organization for special needs kids, they go up to age 21.
So it sounds like we've got a myriad, and I was going to ask you this anyway, so it sounds like you've got a myriad of different sorts of organizations and services under this umbrella you still call Crispin's House. What are some of the, outside of the diversion programs, what are some of the services that you provide, and what are some of the organizations that you coordinate with to do?
Well, beyond the diversion that I've talked about, I did reference the volunteers program.
Yeah, now that's interesting, and I'm going to take off on that for just a second. So what you do is you take, and how old are these kids in the volunteers program?
Those are high school kids.
So you've got high school kids, and basically you work with them to place them in volunteer opportunities throughout the Goffstown area?
That's correct.
And volunteering to do what? Is it to help elderly folks with their clean up their backyards? Is it what are some of the volunteer positions that they get involved with?
We only service other nonprofits or service organizations. We do not put the kids into an unsupervised area where they would go to help somebody at their private home.
Okay.
These are just basically service organizations or other nonprofits that are providing an activity in the community. For example, our Main Street organization does several different things during the year. They have Old Home Day, they have the Pumpkin Regatta, and several other things. They'll call us and ask us for help, see if we can provide kids to come and help and man different different areas of the activities.
Now, are there social service agents? I mean, would Charlie Sherman over at the at New Horizons call you and say, hey, we'd love to have some kids, help serve dinner one night, or help us with our food pantry, or is it more sort of town institutions?
It's mostly within the town of Goffstown.
Mostly within the town of Goffstown.
Right. Not that we wouldn't go outside the town, but that's typically not going to happen.
No, and I just I'm curious as to sort of the reach of the organization. Like who would call Volunteer and say, hey, we'd like to know if there might be some teen volunteers that could help us with this or help us with that. Goffstown Main Street program is one example. Are there others?
There are. We have certainly the Lions Club, the Rotary Club, the food pantry.
So they help out with their events and things like that?
Absolutely.
Okay, terrific. And so Volunteer is one of them. You've got Crispin's house, Volunteer. You said there was something for special needs kids up until the age of 21. What's
right.
that all?
That organization is called Dream Catchers.
Dream Catchers.
It's run by a wonderful group of parents who have children with special needs. Actually, some who...
Continue.
Okay, we are all set?
Yep.
That was such.
All right, and it's we have parents involved in that organization whose children have passed away, but they're still very active in the organization. And what it does, it provides activities and social activities for these kids to do, and not be intimidated by other kids that might make fun of them or be uncomfortable being around kids with special needs. So it's just a wonderful organization. The kids have a wonderful time, and the parents that run it are amazing.
So it sounds like you got a full plate. Are there other places and organizations that you coordinate with to provide options for teens?
Well, we sponsor a monthly youth forum at Goffstown High School, which is an opportunity for kids in the high school and local concerned adults to come in and sit at the same table with these kids and listen to them talk about the things that are special to them, the things that they're concerned about, the problems that they see within the school and the community, and it's a forum for them to address those issues. We listen to them, and we can facilitate them making some changes that they see that they need.
Now, what are some of the things that you've seen? This Crispin's house, you kind of caught my attention when you said you've helped children as young as the age of 9.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get involved with, say, bad family situations? I mean, if there's what sort of a situation might cause a youngster, a teen, whatever, to be brought to your attention?
Well,
the police stuff aside.
Well, typically we're not going to see those families. When we have a 9-year-old kid come in, it's going to be through the police department.
It is going to be through the police department. So it sounds that. So then the big chunk of what you do then sounds like it's coming through the police and the courts.
With our juvenile diversion program, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you've got a teen that runs away because of a bad home situation or whatnot, is that something that you're equipped to take care of? Is that something that you look for, or?
No, we're not equipped to take care of that at this time.
That doesn't fall within your realm.
Not to say that down the road we wouldn't, as we grow our organization and try to expand it. We have talked about having a family assistance part of our programs.
Now, is this run all by volunteers, Al, or do you have like an executive director, some kind of a paid staff? How does this all work?
Well, right now we have no paid staff.
Okay.
Unfortunately, all our financials got gutted by the state in the budget cutting aspect, so we've lost all our funding.
So you were entirely funded by the state prior to the budget cuts?
No, not totally, but by probably 70-75% we were funded through the state. Now, we used to run an after-school program at the middle school, which we had to close down because we lost all of our funding.
Okay, so and how much funding were you getting from the state? How big 75% is a big hit, no matter how big or small the number is, but what kind of dollars were we talking about?
Back when we first started getting the grants from the state, we were receiving around $70,000 annually from the Governor's Commission and from the Hillsborough County Incentive Fund. And over the years, as time went on, those were decreased, and eventually we got down to, I think the last year we were fully funded, we were just under $50,000.
Now, have you been able to make up those reductions in state funding with private donations?
We have not.
Now, are there other plans to try to? I know a guy who runs a breakfast. Now, are you are you looking for ways where you can develop private sources of funding to help you with this mission?
Yes, we are. Right now, we have a warrant article
In the town of Goffstown.
in the town of Goffstown that the voters are going to vote on in March. Right now, it's going through the process of being recommended or not recommended by the Budget Committee and the Selectmen. I believe it is not recommended by the Budget Committee at this point. It's a warrant article for $62,500.
Okay.
And
so our Manchester listeners know a warrant article in a town basically is a request for the voters at the town meeting to provide funding, correct?
That's correct.
All right, so because here in Manchester, as you know, we don't have warrant articles. We have mayor and aldermen, and they do the budgets. Okay, so you have a warrant article in Goffstown for $62,500.
That's correct.
And you don't believe it's being recommended by the budget
By
committee.
the Budget Committee.
But beyond that, are there private sector outreach? Are you organizing a pancake breakfast somewhere, or?
Well, we do run a couple of fundraisers during the year, one of which is a 3-on-3 basketball tournament,
Okay.
which is for all ages, right up through adults. In fact, we added a geezer division this year
So I get to play.
to accommodate some adults that showed up last year that were in their 60s.
Really? Wow.
And they represented themselves very well. And then in addition to the basketball tournament, we also run a one-pitch, slow-pitch softball tournament in August. Now, between those two, we raise, probably $7,000 or $8,000, which goes to supplement any grants or donations that we might have. So.
Now, Al, if people would like to learn more, and I'm going to ask you to, actually, I'm not going to ask you to send me information that our friend Bill Wynn from Goffstown today has already sent me.
Yeah.
But what I'd like to do is ask you to give out your information so that if people want to learn more about Crispin's house or your efforts in general, and if they want to open up their wallets and send a contribution to help you in your mission to take care of these kids, how can they do that?
Well, our website is www.crispinshouse.org.
Is that C-R-I-S-P-E-N-S?
No, I-N-S.
Okay, C-R-I-S-P-I-N-S, crispinshouse.org.
Right. And then our mailing address is Crispin's House at P.O. Box 411 in Goffstown, New Hampshire, zip code 03045.
All right, well, Al, we hope that you'll keep us up to date on your efforts to raise money and take care of these folks. We're here with an open mic if you'd like to come back and talk about some of what's going on and what you need. Believe it or not, we are out of time.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it very much.
Al, it's always a pleasure to meet you. We wish you well, and like I said, we look forward to having you back and keeping our listeners up to date on your efforts to help the youth in the Goffstown area. Our time is 8:26. We go now to traffic, sports, traffic, news, weather, sports, something.